It's Pipes Drums here with Pipe Major Richard Parkes of the Field Marshal Montgomery Pipe Band, April 23rd, 2021. Thanks very much for taking the time, Richard. Really appreciate it.
No, thanks for having me, Andrew. Yeah.
And yeah, the reason we wanted to connect, 40 years. It's 40 years since you took over Field Marshal Montgomery when it was a grade two band, I believe, in 1981. So much has happened over those 40 years. I thought maybe we'd check in with you to talk about some of the memories that you have and what's going on with the band, and maybe start with what are your first memories of 1981 when you first took over Field Marshal Montgomery?
Yeah, well, it seems like a long time ago, but I have very, very good memories of how I took over and what actually happened in that first year. There was a bit of a disagreement in the band. I was pipe sergeant in 1981 at the start of the season, and there was a disagreement in the band, and the pipe major ended up leaving around 6 to 7 weeks before the World Championships. And we had a small number of pipers in the band at that stage. We were down to about 9 or 10 pipers. So pipe major left, and I had to take over control of the band in mid-season 1981. And it was difficult because we had a couple of players that joined the band, and maybe one of them had not intended to go to the World. So that meant if that player didn't go to the Worlds, then we only had 7 players, so we couldn't. So I ended up having to ring up a guy who'd played with the band the previous year. I'm not going to mention names but the people who I'm talking about will know who they are. He decided, I asked him would he come back and play with the band so we could compete at the Worlds in 1981. And sure enough, he decided that, yeah, I'll do that for you, no problem. So he came back, and we were playing pretty much the same medley as we played the previous year. So it wasn't going to be too difficult for him to learn up on the tunes and stuff. But that's not the end of the story, because my first day out as pipe major was the week before the Worlds at a competition in Portrush. And this piper, the guy who was coming back, turned up late, like 15 minutes before we were going on to play. So I ended up not playing him that day. But the whole problem for me was, if I handle this right, because if he decides not to play us at the Worlds, then we can't go to the Worlds. But he took it well, because he knew that he'd turned up late that day, and I made the right decision and not to play him. And we played well and got 4th place in grade 2 that day in Portrush. So anyway, the band went to the Worlds with 8 pipers, and we ended up getting 2nd place in grade 2, in 1981, behind Nat Russell's RUC Pipes and Drums, who did the Grand Slam in grade 2 that year. So that was a significant achievement for the band in 1981, and one that I'll always remember. And there was only 8 pipers that day, and we did the best we could, and got a great result.
Amazing. It sounds like you were really close to not being able to play actually on that day, and then you wind up being 2nd at the Worlds. And
yeah, I mean, right throughout the initial stages of the band, there were times when if one thing had gone the other way, then we wouldn't have gone where it did. I mean, if that guy hadn't come back and played with us, then who knows what would have happened? And things like that have to go your way when you're. You need a wee bit of luck in certain instances, and that was, well, it wasn't luck. It was a great thing for him to come back and play with us, so we could play at the Worlds, and I'll always remember him from that. It was a great thing for him to do for the band, and I always remember it.
Yeah, well, the piping and drumming world has a debt of gratitude towards that guy. So whoever you are, thanks for doing it. So back then, 1981, did you have any idea? Did you have a picture like what the future would bring? Did you have any imagination that things would have turned out the way they have?
Well, I always wanted to be a pipe major, and I always tried to learn from what was going on around me, watching all the other pipe majors and stuff like that. And I had a vision as to what we needed to do, but I never thought what happened would happen. You have an idea what that you want to improve the standard of player within the band, improve the musicality of the band, improve the sound of the band, and make everything happen so that you can achieve those aims. And just never believed that what has happened has happened. It's just, quite unbelievable. So it's been a great time being pipe major of the band, and it's been a very successful time, and it's been very good to me over the years. So it's excellent.
So, for over 40 years, I'm sure there are many, many high points, but what are some of the standout memories that you might have of the last 4 decades? Maybe, pick 2 or 3 or 4.
Well, there have been so many. I mean, obviously all the World Championship wins are special in themselves, but probably if you take it right back, getting the Grade 1 in 1985 was a major achievement for the band. So we had a good season in '85. We won one major and a couple of places in Olympic. We didn't attend all the majors in those days, but we got 3 prizes in majors, and we got promoted to Grade 1 at the end of '85. We got 8th in the world in '87, which was probably, with that group of players, the best we could ever have done. So we'd really played out of our skins that day in 1987, and a great result for us was to get 8th. But I knew that I had to improve the standard of the band. So some of the people that were playing with us had to move on. We need to get better players in. So maybe after that, probably 1980. Another story. In 1988, we won the All Ireland. In 1988. Well, we thought we won the All Ireland in 1988. They actually presented us with the trophy, and we celebrated and paraded the street with the All Ireland trophy. But it was actually a tie on the day, and there was some confusion at that time as to how the tie was separated, and it should have been ensemble preference, and it was piping preference or whatever. So we got the All Ireland trophy, but the next night got the phone call to say. He actually didn't win it. It was actually the Graham Memorial that won it that day. So at the end of the day, we didn't win that in 1988, but it was a significant day for us. Mm-hmm. And then subsequently won the next 11 after that. So that was good. And so that was a significant day for us winning that on 88, even though we didn't win it. But it was a great day for us. And the year after that, then, as I say, we did win the All Ireland. But then the first major was at Cowell 1990 in Grade 1. And that was just, like, I keep going to say it's unbelievable, but it was for us to win a major championship in Grade 1, like only since 1985, 5 years to win a Grade 1 major was a superb achievement for us. And never forget that. I remember speaking to Ian McLeod, and he said, it's great when you win the Worlds, but actually when you win Cowell, you get to walk down the street at Cowell at the end. And those days, the parade down the street at Cowell was something else. And never forget that. So that was an excellent one. So then after that, the 1992 first Worlds win was a great, unbelievable experience, a dream come true. Never thought that it would happen. And again, it was all very quick for us, because all of these things happen on the way up, which is quite important when you're progressing. If you don't get there when you're progressing, then sometimes it's hard to actually get that final step. So we were fortunate with that we won the Worlds quite quickly on the way up. And then a Grand Slam in '93, just, who could believe it? After that, all the Worlds wins were excellent, but then probably the 12th Worlds win in 2018 was particularly special for me. That was, to equal the record was just, I never thought I would get there, and just, that was a special moment.
What's some, like we said, you've got so much to choose from as far as high points go, sure. Why don't we stop this part here, and we'll talk about some more recent things and some of your most proudest achievements. So stay tuned.
Let's hear the full strike. Keep it a good strike, to keep it slightly open, all right?